After our talk, April and I went back to sleep. It might seem dangerous to just fall back to sleep at this moment, but endlessly worrying for an attack that had a possibility of happening wasn't worth it. In a situation where the monsters we had to fight were stronger or sleeping by an unknown person, I wouldn't be this carefree. I trusted April with my well-being, so I wasn't guarded. The next morning after the night incident, I felt my chest wound was healed. I looked down at the area to find that it had already started to scab. When I looked down at my leg, the wound there was starting to disappear. It seems that the Madness title came with an extra bonus. The speed of my recovery seemed to double, but I wasn't sure how long after the title activated would the bonus be in effect. It was something that I would have to measure in the future. While getting off the couch, I put pressure on my injured leg to find that it didn't hurt as much as it did before. I started to limp to the kitchen to get something to drink and maybe something to eat. When I opened the fridge, I seen that April had some eggs, and I also saw that she had some bread. An idea came to me to make an egg sandwich, something that I hadn't had since I left for college. The egg sandwich was relatively easy to make. I had to get a couple of eggs, some spices, a mixing bowl, and my personal touch, tomato paste. First, I took 1 spoonful of tomato paste and 1 egg and put them into the bowl. I took the white stuff out the egg as best as I could, then I started to mix them together until the egg turned red. I didn't sup until all the tomato paste mixed thoroughly into the egg. After that, I took the rest off the eggs and mixed them into the mixture. With that done, I put the spices into the bowl, and with that I was ready to cook it. I thought of just letting the eggs cook like that without me doing anything else, but at the last second, I decided to make scrambled eggs. When I was done cooking the eggs, I tasted it, and it didn't taste as good as I wanted it to. It seems that my barely eligible cooking skills was starting to get rusty. It didn't matter in the end, as long as it was edible, it was good enough for me. Plus, I found some ketchup, so everything came out okay. As I was looking through the fridge to find something to drink, I seen some orange juice. I was slightly reluctant to drink some since a cup of orange juice had way too much sugar in it, but at the end of the day, it was slightly good for us. I took 2 cups and 2 plates from April's dishwasher. I poured the orange juice into the cups and separated the eggs into the 2 plates. I took the bread and slightly toasted them just enough for them to be firmer. With all that done, breakfast was ready to be served. As I was about to get April to eat, she arrived. We had some small talk, and just as I was about to take a bite, I remembered that I hadn't brushed my teeth yet. I wanted to eat right now, but hygiene was important. I told April I was going to brush my teeth and she could eat without me. When I was done brushing my teeth, I came back to find April hadn't eaten without me. Her small action brought some warmth into my heart. After we were done eating, we talked about what we should do next. I was still injured, so I couldn't do anything at the moment. As for April, she was fully healthy and ready to fight. I had also learned from her that she didn't level up from us killing the silver-ranked Shadow Goblin. I had also noticed that I didn't get any experience for killing the Shadow Goblin from last night. It seemed that we weren't able to get experience from team kills. It was a peculiar situation, but we could always solve that another day. After our discussion, we looked on the web to see if there were any new leads we could follow. We didn't find anything noteworthy. With nothing else to do, we talked and watched some TV. A couple hours later, April made us some lunch. After lunch, I told April she shouldn't worry about me and should try to level up as much as she could. She tried to argue, but she knew that siding around wouldn't help our situation much. Without strength, we could die in the blink of an eye. When I finally persuaded April to leave, I was all by myself. I went to the kitchen to get a knife. It wasn't much for protection, but it was better than nothing. With nothing to do, I started to do some auxiliary workouts such as ab workouts, push-ups, and everything else that didn't involve my legs. Surprisingly, today's workout wasn't as hard as yesterday's, and I also just remembered I wasn't sore or anything. With my workout done, I played some games on my phone and watched TV. April came back about 5 hours later. She told me about her experiences and that there wasn't much monsters left in our apartment buildings, if not none at all. She also explained that she didn't find any people in the places she searched. It was kind sad, but I knew we would find at least one person. Afterwards we had dinner, watched some more TV, and called it a day. There weren't any assassination attacks at my life last night, and I woke up to April making breakfast. We ate the pancakes she made with some cereal on the side. We made some small talk before we got to the main issue. My leg doesn't hurt as much anymore, and I should be able to walk. It will take me a day or two to start running again, but until then I won't be able to help you much, I said, effectively changing subjects. April answering back to me saying, "That's alright, I should be fine by myself for a couple of days. Don't worry about me, just think about healing up. The monsters by us don't seem to be all that strong, so I think we should bury some of the bodies outside. I already started burying some of them yesterday, but there are still a lot of bodies left." "Are you sure you will be able to work?" asked April. "I should be fine, and if I can't work anymore, I'll stop." We waited about 30 minutes before we went to bury the bodies. As I was going down the stairs, my leg was slightly hurting, but it was durable, considering the circumstances. Walking outside of the apartment building, I seen that the apartment building in front of us seemed to be further away, or was that just my imagination? I didn't know the answer, so I shrugged it off. While outside, April gave me a shovel. I wondered to myself, where did she find a shovel from? Once again, I didn't know, so I shrugged it off. It wasn't important anyway, as long as we got the job done, who cares? As we started walking to find a place to bury the bodies, I once again noticed that everything seemed further away than usual. I knew for a fact that I wasn't imaging things. The more we walked, the more the feeling became apparent. I turned to April and asked, "Is it just me, or does everything seem to be further away?" I noticed yesterday, but compared to yesterday, everything is actually further apart. At the rate that this is happening, the Earth might actually double to triple in size, answered April. "As long as it doesn't affect the foundation of the building we're in, it won't matter as much," I said after contemplating a bit. After we were done talking, we found a nice plot of land with no buildings to obstruct us. We started to dig a hole that was about 10 feet long and 3 feet deep. It took us a good 2 hours to get the job done. With that done, we went back to April's place to get some gloves, and went to the leasing building 2 apartments down to get some antiviral face masks. We did this to combat the stench that was coming off the bodies. Being in the sun for a couple of days was doing a number on the bodies. When we started moving the bodies to the hole, we found that it was taking a long time with small results. April stopped us to go get 2 wheelbarrows. When she came back with them, it then clicked where she found the shovels from. It took us 1+ hour to get all the bodies from around our small community. It took another 20 minutes for us to fully bury them. After we were done, we did a small prayer for them, hoping for them to have a better life if there was an afterlife. We were done with everything we set out to do, so me and April split ways. She went to find some monsters to beat up, while I went back to her place to rest up. About 2 hours later, she came back with a happy mood. I asked her what she was so happy about. April answered, "I leveled up to level 3. She was super happy, and I was happy for her. I didn't know how much monsters she had to kill to level up, and I didn't ask since there wasn't really a need to. A couple hours after April came back, it was time to call it a night.